play a vital role in contemporary Nigeria. They provide humanitarian aid to championing social justice initiatives, promoting development, and amplifying voices that may go unheard. The national policy on NGOs in Nigeria is aimed at providing a framework for the regulation and operation of non-governmental organizations, NGOs, in the country. The policy seeks to promote transparency, accountability, and good governance in the NGO sector. The policy on NGOs outlines the requirements for the registration, funding, and monitoring of NGOs, as well as their roles and responsibilities in contributing to national development. It emphasizes the need for collaboration and partnership between NGOs and the government for effective service delivery and social impact. Recently, the presence of local and international NGOs in the Boko Haram zone of the Northeast and bandits' flashpoints northwest has been rated high. The NGOs are known for providing relief materials and succor to the victims of the terrorists. Despite all these, many Nigerians are nursing a negative impression about the activities of NGOs in the country. On our program today, we will look into how the government regulates NGOs and their activities through policies. I am Lydia Odijochi. I'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
It's new, it's fresh. It's all about policies and strategies. Watch out for NIPSS Policy TV programs on NTA News 24. Tune in on Mondays, Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on DSTV Channel 419, GoTV Channel 26, Star Times Channels 101 and 433, and Free TV Channel 703. Miss this and miss out on policies that will affect you and our country. Join us.
Thank you for staying with us. Now back to our topic. Clear and fair policies enable NGOs to operate effectively, contribute to social progress, and uphold accountability to stakeholders. To further buttress this topic, I have with me Director General, Civil Society Organizations on Community Advancement and Humanitarian Empowerment Initiative in Nigeria, Mr. Kunle Yusuf, MON. The organization is an accredited non-profit establishment that coordinates various registered community-based organizations and NGOs with a view to providing community enhancement, humanitarian empowerment, dignity, and societal values for development in the country. Mr. Kunle Yusuf, thank you for joining us. You're welcome.
It's a privilege to be with you this morning.
Now, sir, what are the key provisions of Nigeria's policy framework governing non-governmental organizations?
The non-governmental organization is supposed to be the link between the government and the masses to provide a strategic framework for accountability, acceptability, justice, and fairness with equity. As of today, we have been promoting, crusading for federal government to also establish commission, like we did for Diaspora Commission, like we did for Disability Commission. If you have this commission will now be primarily an agent of a government that will be saddled with the responsibility to regulate the law and supervise the non-governmental organization. Okay. As it is today, the Ministry of Budget and Planning is the only ministry that is scheduled with the responsibility to coordinate the affair of non-governmental organization as civil society organization in Nigeria. Now, as far as the law is concerned, the policy as of today is to provide a mechanism. Civil society, non-governmental organization they are to provide a mechanism on advocacy to support the government on dissemination of information appropriately, advocacy, link between the government and the masses, and also for accountability, equity, and justice. But we have several sectors where civil society engaging the federal government, the state government, and local government on day-to-day activities. Like most of the program of Sustainable Development Global Agenda, the civil society play a prominent role, like climate change action, which is just about 2.5 years ago that the government of Nigeria established National Council for Climate Change. We are working with them. Like the Ministry of Environment has 3 agencies that basically the civil society and NGO must work with them. The Clean Ogoni, the Nigeria Great War, and we have several agencies of government that the law mandated them to include a kind of inclusion with civil society and NGO, including the INEC, in terms of observation and the monitoring of election. But the policy per se is just a framework led by law, where we don't have a commission responsibility to manage the affairs. We've been propagating this for a long time. We hope this government will also consider that. But the framework policy, the major framework policy that guides the civil society organization, NGO in Nigeria, is from human rights perspectives. And we have the link between the government and the masses. We are also to ensure that the government is standing on justice, accountability, equity, and fairness in all the programs. And
what mechanisms are in place to ensure financial transparency and accountability among NGOs operating in Nigeria?
Well, that is another challenge. We have, as a coordinating platform, CSEC, coordinating most of these NGOs in Nigeria. We don't have a coordinating platform before. Several NGOs, civil society, everybody is on their own. And not more than a year and a half ago, they began to put up a framework that will give us a kind of one umbrella defensive mechanism to come up with a financial framework in terms of relating with the government, development partners, and donor agencies. Now, we have about 42 various civil society and NGO who are on to good governance and accountability. What we do is to ensure that from the onset of procurement, civil society play a major role. You know, the Act permits that for a contract to be awarded, it must go through Procurement Act. And this procurement, the first step is bidding. And civil society, we have enforced and ensure that in every bidding process of government, a civil society, non-governmental organization must supervise and monitor the process for accountability. That is the first step. The moment you don't get the Procurement Act or the procurement bidding or bidding process right, that is the first step of fraud. And it goes on and on and on like that. Not we signed a partnership agreement with UNITA, United Nations Institute for Training and Research. And we are working on a mechanism now. We are working on a program that will give us, that will expose a lot of government officials, civil society organization, community-based organization on executive capacity building on procurement fraud. When the procurement is aligned with guidelines of aligned with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and there's a transparency and accountability, equity, and justice in whatever we do, definitely the financial mismanagement, miscalculation, or fraudulent financial transaction in government daily running of business will be naturally reduced if it cannot be eliminated. So basically, we are trying all our best to ensure that the financial transaction of day-to-day government of Federal Republic of Nigeria is being monitored through the supervisory and transparency advocacy role. Civil society organization, we are not the lawmaker, we are not the enforcement of lawmaker, but we have to stand in between the government and the masses to ensure stability, justice, and equity. And we also have to thank government because they have also realized that there is a need for civil society organization, non-governmental organization to partake in bidding process. So when the bidding process is open and transparent, then it's the first step to reduce the financial procurement fraud analysis.
Okay, Mr. Yusuf, how does Nigeria's policy on NGOs address issues related to foreign funding, partnerships, and collaborations?
Okay, this is a very fundamental question. We've been having these challenges for a long time. Most of it may interest you to know that we have about 24 different donor agencies, development partner, and international NGO in India. And from their host nation, there is always yearly budget provision. And if you don't meet yearly budget provision, you have to return the fund back to their host country. And most of this money has been returned because most of the NGO civil society organizations have not been able to meet up with the standard in terms of proposal submission. And because we don't have a platform that coordinates that for them. But now we've had a meeting. We've communicated to the new RC, that is Resident Coordinator of United Nations in Nigeria, that supervises all development partners of UN, that now we have a coordinating platform for donor agencies, development partner, international organizations to now relate more effectively and efficiently with civil society and non-governmental organizations in Nigeria. And if you now relate with them, this will now give them access for funding, for counterpart funding, and for financing of projects that align with SDG, climate change, environment, agribusiness, and youth and gender equity program and projects.
Okay, now talking about the civil society, how does Nigeria's policy on NGOs promote civic engagement, advocacy, and social development initiatives?
Well, first of all, there's a freedom of information, okay? But for this information to be disseminated appropriately, that is where civil society comes in, all right? The law has been given, is already on ground for them to use. And the civil society advocacy, you know, in development space, globalization partnership for networking on humanitarian and development is paramount. Whatever information you have, if you don't have a capacity for synergy, that is more or less an absolute waste of time. But now, the whole world is in a global village, all right? the policy, the government, the law has provided the freedom of information. It's not left for your organization to tap into that, relate it, and ensure that you find a partner or get a structure that will enable you to live within development space networking. When you network appropriately, dissemination of information, advocacy on all sorts of programs will be easier. The law is there, but most of the civil society organizations must brace up the time for portfolio NGO. Let me also shock you with this. And then this year, the Corporate Affairs Commission said any NGO civil society organization that has not been paid their due for 3 years will be deregistered. So a lot of them too has to live by the global practice now. It's not the issue of where the civil society NGO is a mushroom arrangement has gone. So this time around, it is advisable. And the only way to do it is for you to have a structure within a development space that will enable you to partner with, to involve in a globalization partnership networking and disseminate information accordingly. The freedom of information has already enabled all the civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, to effectively and efficiently work according to the law of the land.
Thank you very much. Now, tell us, what are the challenges and opportunities faced by NGOs in navigating Nigeria's regulatory landscape?
Okay, the first challenges is what we've just solved: proper coordination. There's never been a proper coordination. As of today, even within the space of 2 years, we have almost 3,444 NGOs and civil society within our space, and we are getting them appropriately. So the first problem we have before is coordination, and we are addressing that now. The second one is financing. We have challenges in financing, and it's not as if there's no money or no funding, but because a lot of NGOs don't know how to go about it, we're also trying to address that. The third one is a collaboration synergy between the government and the NGO. The government must improve, the government must open more doors, and they must be accessible. And the fourth one is the NGO themselves and the civil society structure themselves, capacity building. We are also handling that, and that is why we also partner with your institute on capacity building for advocacy to ensure that most of the NGOs are up to task. So those are the challenges. But in terms of the opportunities, all right, civil society organization and non-government organization, there are another entire structure that gives employment to people, partner with various development agencies to empower people working on development space, on health, on education, on sustainable development goals. So as we have any challenges, we also have several opportunities that the system, the developments has also give us an access to. But fundamentally, larger percentage of the challenges we have as of today is about funding, it's about coordination, it's about supervision, it's about monitoring. And we are addressing that gradually. And in a few weeks come, CSEC will begin to organize what we call regional capacity building for each of the zone. And we will know where the funds and finances are, how to access it, and how to prepare their proposal for submission. We are working with some of development partners for funding of that project. It's expensive. But once we do that, most of the NGOs will now have the capacity to address their own financing challenges. Yes, that's it.
Thank you very much. I think where you are now, the network is much better now, much better, because your picture is very clear. So please don't move from this spot. Thank you. Now, how does Nigeria's policy on NGOs align with international standards and best practices in NGO governance and management?
Well, as far as international collaboration and cooperation is concerned on civil society and NGO in Nigeria, is a big task. But for the first time in history, CSEC, Civil Society Organization on Community Advancement and Humanitarian Empowerment Initiatives, for the first time, has been accredited by United Nations, signed a partnership with an MOU with UNITA, which also calls her ONSA. ONSA is United Nations Satellite Center for capacity building and mapping for employment. So if in less than 2 years, we have been accepted internationally, globally, on synergy and collaboration in terms of capacity building and a whole sort of others, it means that there is a collaboration between local NGOs and civil society and international NGO, United Nations and Development partner. But it was worrisome about 4 years ago, where we are very few in a global partnership networking system. But as of today, the agreement we have signed with UNITA has given us access to about 19 various development partners. It means that taking almost 17,000 various registered NGOs, civil society organization, community-based organization into international community. This is a whole lot of advantage. This is a privilege, which we'll promise not to take it for granted. And we have communicated these new agreements we had with the United Nations office here in Nigeria, with a lot of development partners, so they can know now that there's a platform that is coordinating most of these NGO. Okay. This afternoon, for the first time, we are having a meeting to start a process of inaugurating Project 744 SDG local government programmer. In each local government, we want to have technical officer on SDG. That will now begin to do a kind of milestone. The next 6 years, how far SDG has gone, what are we going to do differently in the next 6 years to ensure that the local government domestic change in their plans. So as far as international community is concerned, CSEC has gotten an access to them, and we hope that the agreement we signed with UNITA and ONSA will be beneficial to Nigeria and most of the NGO and civil society organizations in Nigeria.
Okay, we also want you to tell us briefly, because our time is almost up, what are the procedures and requirements for NGOs to report on their activities, their impacts, and also financial management?
Okay, first of all, for you to be a member of CSEC as an NGO, if you want to be under our cover, all you need to do is go into the website. There are criteria you submit there, and immediately you'll be registered as an institutional member of CSEC. Now, once we have that, we will now begin to, on a weekly basis or monthly basis, giving on a newsletter, there is an opportunity with this international NGO on these areas, on this technical area, on this structure. If you are one of us and we know that your structure aligns with the funding that is available, we'll quickly match all of them together, train them how to do budget proposal submission, and submit to that NGO globally. So that is the advantage we have in Nigeria. Now, that is how it's been operating in other parts of the world. A coordinating platform will be the one to network around, all right? Have access to global partnership networking system within the development space of United Nations and other development partners, and now be relating with other NGOs. It makes it easier. They have an information appropriately, they have a cover, and they have an access to funding and financing at the appropriate time. And most importantly, we also now guide them on how to make a proposal on how to submit proposal for funding and financing, which is actually a big challenge to most of them before.
Okay. Now, finally, in a few words, how can the government and the civil society collaborate to strengthen the effectiveness and impact of NGOs in addressing social environment development challenges in Nigeria?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've said it earlier, several platforms, that the government alone cannot do it. Government don't even have fund to do or to execute their program and project on daily basis alone. The NGO and civil society cannot also, 100% survive without interfacing with the government. Within the so-called the government itself, they are the people. So if you are the link between people, masses, and the government, you have to find a means of collaboration, a synergy. And we have been doing that. In the recent time, we will send a proposal to the government. We set in on our press conference last 2 weeks that the reason why the food scarcity is continuously increasing, we advise the federal government to please look into reconstitute the Presidential Committee on Food Security. All right, when you put a round peg in a round hole, then it makes it easier. Let the Presidential Committee on Food Security review the policy around the food system chain, a chain of agricultural system. And when that is done, you will see that this will come down. We also recommend that the tariff on the electricity is extreme, that the government should look into this, and these are the formula we're expecting. So we outline the area, and this is the best area which the government and the civil society can work together. We have to advise them, we have to ensure that the right thing is done, and we have to also engage them to pitch them where they are making a mistake for immediate dividends of democracy for citizenry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kunle Yusuf, MON, for finding time to share your thoughts with us on this topic. We are really grateful. Thank you so much indeed.
All right. If you really want to also help so many NGOs, please tell those who are registered with Corporate Affairs Commission that are really working to go into www.CSEC NGO, ensure they registered so they can become an additional member. They can have all this information, and they can also have access to funding and financing for most of the projects. We appreciate you, and God bless you.
Thank you. And Nigerians have heard you, and of course, they'll take you up on that. Thank you so much indeed. Have a wonderful day.
Keep watching.
Keep watching.
Keep watching NIPSS Policy TV.
Non-governmental organizations are actually found at different tiers of government. You can get them in local government, in the state government, and also in federal government. And their major role is actually to complement government effort to ensure that government policies are properly implemented. And so the NGO help government in terms of organizing for training, in seminars, organizing conference, and building capacity of a civil servant so that government policies can be adequately implemented. NGO also helps in terms of conducting research. If you have a policy, an NGO can actually go into the field to assess, interview people to find out whether they are aware of the policies and whether these policies are properly implemented. And so they help government. And at the end of the day, all their findings, they actually submit to government to ensure that the policies are properly designed and also implemented. Sometimes too, when they discover that there is a gap in a policy, they also go ahead to also help government in terms of seeing how gap analysis can be, conduct gap analysis on the policies and see how the policies can be reviewed so that the main aim of having a policy is actually addressed.
NGOs are classified among the civil society organizations. And the role is because they are not non-governmental, they are able to at least give us the push towards policy direction. And like I said, because they are not government organizations, that they are free. How will I put it? They enjoy the Chatham House rules and provisions to say their mind, not to be bothered about whose horse is God. And they play that role very well. If I think in Nigeria, you have heard of civil society organizations, the way they pressurize government towards a direction.
There are organizations that they are supposed to be apolitical. What that means, they are not either on government side, they are not biased. They are expected not to be biased in supporting issues, and they are also closer to the people, closer to the masses. They see, they observe, and they have the independence of voice. They should be able to voice out that these things are good, or this should be good, or these things are not good. So it's not only about policies that are yet to be enacted or legislated, but about policies also that are already existing. They have the freedom to talk about the impact it has on the people, and that can assist government in taking informed decisions about how people feel with the policies that they are executing, whether they are policies or if they have been developed into acts.
You know, we have different types of NGOs. Some are actually meant to, they stand in for the less privileged. They stand in for people that don't have access to quality healthcare, education, and so on. And so what NGOs needs to do is actually to ensure that they identify those that actually need support, those that are less privileged. And that is why it is good for you when you have an NGO. They should not be restricted only to the urban setting, but they should also go down to the rural communities to be able to identify people that are in need of certain amenities, certain of such, to be able to assist them.
Yes, first of all, like I mentioned, they have the freedom of voice. They are the people that they've been able to, they relate with the masses, the grassroots better. They observe it, they can hear, they live with people, they can hear, they have no fear. They can express their comments or their views without fear or favor. So when they observe that this environment, whether it is the environmental degradation, whether it is climate change, whatever part of environment, that they observe anything, they have the freedom to say, okay, put it out to the relevant arm of government, whether it is the parliament, whether it's the executive, whether it is the judicial, whichever ways that they know that is legal, they have the right and the freedom to be able to push such views forward and ensure, be consistent and ensure that they are implemented. If there are certain changes that they are recommending, to see that they are implemented.
Then you ask of the challenges they face. The challenges is also obvious. They are not governmental organizations. They are not organized to make profit. So they require some funding aspects by their stakeholders to be able to, go around, collate ideas, to be able to channel it properly. They require resources. So those are, I think, their basic challenge. And another challenge that I see that they may have is in terms of capacity. Sometimes they require a knowledge that may not be readily available to them. So they need sometimes capacity. Sometimes they may live the capacity of academics. And sometimes academics will not be readily available to really partake in their drive. So that is some of the challenges I think they have. And then in terms of collaboration, it depends on where the NGO is actually focused. For them to be able to have the needed partnership that they require to pushing their ideas.
The National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPSS Kuru, graduates 44 participants of the Policy, Strategy and Leadership course of the Institute. The event, which took place at the Unity Hall of the Institute, had in attendance the Director of Studies, Professor Fumi Paramalam MNI, the Acting Director of Research, Dr. Musa Umar MNI, the Head, Department of Short Courses, Air Vice Marshal AI Adamu MNI, members of directing staff, participants, and staff of the Institute. Speaking on behalf of the Director General, Professor Fumi Paramalam MNI said the participants were divided into study groups to allow teamwork, brainstorming, and networking, and were given intensive lectures from resource persons of high caliber from diverse educational backgrounds on topics of national intelligence, which includes digital economy and youth empowerment in Nigeria, artificial intelligence, mineral mining in Nigeria, and what needs to be done.
Remember what it means to be a transformative leader, a visionary leader, an ethical leader. Remember what it means to set in place your monitoring and evaluation framework. Remember what it means to strategize for effective planning and delivery. All these were part of your training while you were here. Remember what it means to have your strategic communication plan in place, advocacy and all of that. These are important. So go back to your notes. Having fulfilled all the requirements for the award of the National Institute Certificate for the Policy, Strategy and Leadership course, I present to the management and staff of the National Institute, and in particular to the Director General whom I am representing, the 44 participants of PSLC 49 for graduation and award of certificate. Congratulations and best wishes.
Outstanding groups and participants were awarded the Ezekiel Gomez Leadership Prize.
Performance prize, it goes to study group 4. So please get a representative of study group 4, please come up, and the prize is 20,000 naira. It's a token prize, but it is the symbolism that counts.
This one.
The individual prize, the individual participant performance prize goes to Claire Fumi Olowu, my namesake. I had nothing to do with it.
As part of their legacy projects, donations were made for the benefit and upgrading of the institute.
This is the legacy project we have provided for the school. This is this is the battery. And then this can, we have 12 panels on the floor there, so that this can, there's no way we are going to have light off in the all throughout the period of this institution. Thank you so much. We are fortunate to have this thing with you. We thank you for making us different Nigerians.
Speaking about their experience on the course and the institute, the participants said Nigerians are great people in need of sincere leaders who will change the narrative.
When we came in here, our mission first was to enhance our knowledge base. And today, everybody are going back better than the way we came.
Presenting the class communique, the class president said the course is designed to equip participants with modern policy formulation and provide hands-on techniques of policy tracking, analysis, and principles of leadership with a view to making key inputs towards building a good society for national development.
The program was structured into policy, strategy, and leadership modules to provide a deep contextual framework for middle to top level public and private sector executives, equipping them with the understanding and application of modern policy formulation, strategic management, and leadership skills for problem solving and pursuit of developmental goals. The policy module was designed to expose participants to working knowledge of the concept of policy in various contexts, its elements and approach to formulation and implementation. It provided hands-on learning of the relevant techniques for tracking policies and evaluation of their effectiveness. Additionally, it inculcated skills of carrying out policy analysis with a view to modifying, enriching, and redirecting of existing national policies.
Having fulfilled all the requirements of the course, the participants were presented with certificates of merit.
Martha Kezeya has completed his task. I will invite Refion, please get ready.
Speaking on the impacts of the course, some of the participants said the course has exposed them to modern policy formulation and problem solving.
Coming here has been a great blessing to myself and my fellow participants. We are codenamed ethical leaders. The expectation was very well, and it has been very well exceeded. We have great faculty, people from the public and private sector, people that have seen it all, or actually have, let's not say see it all, but they have very great experiences that are very, very necessary for the development of our great nation. So I love the experience. I recommend everyone that could come here to come, because these are talents and they are great Nigerians. And I'm very proud to say they are all 100% Nigerians that are very poised to make an impact in our lives so that we can go to the society and actually transform or help to build a better Nigeria, like the motto of NIPSS says, towards a better society.
I came here to unlearn and relearn, and I did get that, honestly. The faculty were amazing. The facilitators were brilliant. To be honest, where we're standing is, I don't patronize people, so it's an embodiment and it's the epitome of knowledge. I had so many aha moments, so many, in terms of what I thought strategy was, what I thought leadership was, and what I thought policy was. Every day was a new learning for me. I met amazing people. I have been humbled by the facilitators and the faculty. All the feedbacks they gave just enriched me further. And so I've had an amazing experience.
Maria Timothy, reporting for NIPSS Policy TV.
Thank you for joining us on this segment. Today we have a very special guest. He is a prominent Nigerian that really does not need any introduction, but I'll introduce him anyway. He's a Nigerian businessman. He is the co-founder and former Group Executive Director, Sahara Group, an energy conglomerate with operations spanning the entire energy chain in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. He was a key member of Partnering Against Corruption Initiative, PASI, United Nations as pioneer member of the advisory board of the Private Sector Advisory Group Fund, the African Philanthropy Forum, amongst many others. Join me as I welcome Mr. Tonye Patrick Cole, MNI. Thank you for joining us today on the program.
Thank you very much.
Now, you were here as a participant. What was your experience like?
I think it was, first and foremost, one of the best experiences that I've had educationally. I'd come into this environment, first having gone into politics, but also interacting for the very first time in close quarters with people outside of the industry with which I had set up a business and come to know. And that cross-section of meeting public servants, the military officers, the police force, the immigration, the paramilitary, was just such a beautiful experience. And coming to see Nigeria from a much wider version, no regrets.
And how long ago was that?
This was Sec 43, so this was 3 years. We're now in 45, so this will be 3 years back.
Now, how has the experience imparted on your person and your career?
So, first and foremost, I think the network of MNIs that are out there who give support, who give encouragement, who you can reach out to help channel new thoughts, especially when you're thinking of what next to do, how to move forward. That network is always there. And that network, you make the best out of it. So I'm very grateful for the network of past alumni. I remember going to see President Babangida, General Babangida, as soon as I graduated. And one of the first things he did once he saw the MNI badge, he was the Sec 1. He said, "This is one of the best things that you have done." And it gave me the full understanding as to how deep this network is. I saw also General Obasanjo, who happened to be the founder of NIPSS, the initiator, and all of that. And again, he was very encouraging about the fact that I did that. What I did not know was back then, when I came into NIPSS, was that my father was also part of the originating set that thought it through. So Obasanjo had the idea and gave it to my father, who was a civil servant at Cabinet Office at the time. And they were the foundational members who thought through the whole idea of how NIPSS should work. So I think it was full circle for me coming back to see people and meet people who originated it, and I now became a process of it, even without knowing that they were the ones that started it. That for me was good.
Oh, wonderful. Now, sir, what is your philosophy of life?
That's interesting. You must be able to make a difference. So for me, every human being is created and given a talent and a gift that is unique to them. And that gift, once it's translated, must make a difference to the people that you meet. And so when I think about myself and what gift I have been given, it is to help people discover themselves, who they really are, and what purpose they are here to achieve. And then secondly, within the context of the nation and all of that, I find myself always to be in the forefront of pioneering things that people assume to be impossible, difficult. Then I find myself going in there. In business, that's what we did. We went into a sector that people thought was not for Nigerians, nobody had done it, and all of that. And went in there, pioneered it, broke it open, and today many Nigerians do the business that we were doing.
Now, finally, what would you recommend to the National Institute to make it better?
Every time I come to NIPSS, I see that, to the Institute especially, I see that there are things that have been improved. The politics is still there. There's still a lot of politics that I don't agree with, but That's politics. That's life. Life is full of all sorts of issues. But what will make NIPSS better? I'll give you three things. Number one, selection criteria coming into NIPSS. You have to take a look at it. Don't allow politics ruin how you select participants, directing staff, and all of that. Understand that this is a premium place. It's a place for the best minds to come. It's a place for people who understand networking, who can carry the idea and ideology further. So that is critical. Drive that. Number two, as a policy and strategic study group, you have to be known across the world as a place where intellectual excellence is brought through. I've always looked at it and I've said that we have, as NIPSS, one of those unique opportunities to be a reference point across board. Now, there are two dangers. There's a positive and a danger with that. The danger of it is because it's strategic, people are afraid that if you put out what you are doing here, then it releases national security on the outside. So there's one. But however, that notwithstanding, there's so much learning that you can get from cross-pollination, from people outside coming in and taking a look and growing. So you have to find and strike a balance. If we don't do that, we would only be improving ourselves within our own capacity and our own limited knowledge. I don't think that's right. So as an institution, what I want to see NIPSS down the line is that when they talk about strategic institutions globally, then NIPSS should be one. If they're talking about it, if we start in Africa, we say here in Nigeria that is premium, no problem. But when we look at it in Africa and we rank it, where do we rank? And I did that when I was coming here, and I found that we were not ranked. And the reason why is that we don't push out our papers, we don't publicize what we want and all of that, and I don't think that's right. So for example, my research project here, when I shared it here with the directorate here, by the time they finished, all of them said, make sure that this is published. That for them, I don't know what I did, but for them it was good enough to be a published work. And so we started working on that. My university in Oxford, where I was doing a program about the same time, and I shared it with my professor after I'd finished. I said, please take a look at this, proofread it, and all. And she came back and said, this must be published. Now, those are the kind of things that we must inculcate within participants that are here. That your research project is not just a project, it's not something to just go and sit on a shelf. It is critical that it must be published and go out there, and people see it either as an academic work or something that they can refer to. And you have 10 months here, and you don't want to be remembered for doing something different. No, it's not right. So we have resource, we have people. If you ask me, NIPSS has to enter into that space where people refer to the research work that we do here for setting policy in Africa if we want to start, in West Africa if we want to be smaller, Africa if we want to be slightly bigger, or globally if you really, really want to take it forward. I think we can do that.
Thank you so much for being our guest. We know you have a busy schedule, but you still found time to talk with us. We really appreciate it.
God bless.
Well, that's it from here. The program continues. Thank you for staying. Indeed, clear and fair policies enable NGOs to operate effectively, contribute to societal progress, and uphold accountability to stakeholders. Remember, understanding these policies and regulations is crucial for NGOs to operate effectively and make positive impact in Nigeria. And with that, we conclude our exploration of Nigeria's policy on non-governmental organizations. Thank you for joining us today. See you next time. I am Lydia Odidiochi. Goodbye.